The sun is shining. It is another beautiful day and I have got another mucky job to do. Now, in the last video we were fixing the door lock for the cabin. Today I wanted to try and tackle changing the batteries. I thought there was two standard sort of car batteries within this one. I've got a lithium battery that came out of the caravan. If you're watching our caravan channel, we have just replaced the normal leisure battery and that one for a lithium battery. So I have a lithium battery spare, and it's a 110 amp hour battery, so bigger than the one that was in here. So I think it's time to change it over. Now I've got a little bit ahead of myself and I've already taken out the battery. That one's the cranking battery, and it looks like we did have a leisure battery in there, but it was only a 75 amp hour one. Like I said, I've got a 110 to go in there, so that is what we're going to do. But you can see I'm starting to get busy, and the actual compartment where it all goes is a little bit mucky. I've never cleaned this since we got the boat, so I think it's time for a good old clean, because the actual compartment, which I'll show you in a minute, if I get in the boat I can show you the mess of the wires and everything. This, I reckon I've got way too much cable, but that's a problem for another day. But you can see it is really mucky in here. That all needs a good old clean, and I think I needed to do some cable management, but I think the clean, one thing at a time. Let's get this place nice and clean, and then we can go from there. Now it's a very cramped area in there, and it's a little bit tricky to try and film any cleaning. I will come back when it's all done. Okay, I've started cleaning, hoovered it out with the power hoover. I'm just starting to wash, but that water is not actually emptying away at the back there. So I think we might have a little blockage in the drainage holes. There's two drainage holes, which I think they're drainage holes anyway. So I'm going to get something flexible, a little cable, and try and shove it into the hole and see if anything's actually blocking it. And then hopefully that will drain away. The boat is jacked up as much as it can, so all the water can trickle out. I have to go upside down with this one, so that's why if I look a bit red, that's why. Going upside down to try and look down the hole. So what I've got is this it's used for conduit, to push cables through, or to track them through. And I've just tried to push it in the back where I thought the drainage holes were, but guess what? They're not drainage holes. I've just actually put my finger right down one of them and it doesn't go anywhere. You've got a divide here, which is actually gel coated, so they're completely divided from the fuel tank to the battery compartment, but that doesn't have any drainage at all. Not that I can see. I will have another good look. So that's going to make actually cleaning out a bit of a challenge, because I can't just spray water in there and hope that it was all going to sort of empty out the back of the boat. So that has put a bit of a spanner in the works, as it were. So I'm going to have to just try and do it with soapy water, with as little soapy water as possible, and then just wipe it out with a towel. A lot more awkward than I thought, but let's crack on. It is another day. For some reason, I never get to complete a job in one day. It was Mother's Day yesterday. Happy Mother's Day, Mum, and happy Mother's Day to my gorgeous wife, Sonia. But we are going to get it done today, because the boat is going for its service, for the outboard service tomorrow. So I have to get these batteries in today. One thing I did finish yesterday was cleaning the battery housing cupboard area, storage area. So we can have a look at that. But I've got the batteries here. Now I've just given them a quick wash down, but that's the cranking battery. Obviously that's the leisure battery that came out of the caravan, and I've got an old box, leisure battery box from when we had a secondary battery in the caravan, so I'm going to use that. I've given them a quick clean up, and then it's just about getting it back in the boat. So this is a big difference now in here. Was able to clean most of this area, give it a bit of a clean, get all the dust off, but the biggest difference was in the actual battery area itself. And I did find that right at the back there actually is drainage holes. There's a drainage hole on that side, there isn't one on this side, even though it looks like it is. It just doesn't go anywhere, that one. So yeah, so at least it's got one on that side. While I've got the batteries out, I might just investigate further and see whether it's a blockage or just whether they didn't drill the drainage hole through when the boat was manufactured. I really don't know, but I thought it should have had one on either side, just in, you know, as the boat sort of tilts, you don't know which way it's gonna, all the water's gonna be. So I've got to try and get the batteries in here now, which is going to be a bit of a nightmare, I think, especially that big leisure one. There are the batteries in. Got the leisure battery over there, and then the cranking battery there. The battery power looks okay on that one. I can't see the light on that one. You might be able to, but hopefully it's okay. Now the final part of this little job, so that I can wrap it up and call it a day, is that inside the cupboard here I have an isolation switch which has position 1, position 2 and off. Now when we bought the boat we didn't know which of these batteries is number 1 and which one's number 2, and if they are both charged by position 1 or position 2. So I've got a multimeter here. I'm going to quickly write down what the volts are on each one, just as they stand now. Then I'll be putting it to position 1 and just do a quick check. Position 2, do a quick check, and then I'll be turning the outboard on. We'll put it on muffs, and then we do the whole procedure again and see what all the results are. And then I should be able to figure out if they are being charged individually or together, so that just gives me a bit of peace of mind, so I know what's actually going on. So let's get on with it. We will see if there's any draw on any of the batteries. Right, the first thing is to try and get the clips on the battery. I can see that leisure battery, we'll call that battery 2, is running at 12.44 volts. Okay, and that battery is running at 12.68. So it looks a little bit better at the moment. So next job is to change it to position 1, and that has a tiny drop on it. It's 4.2 now, so okay, position 2, and that one has now gone up to 12.52. Battery 1 is also 12.52. So now the next thing is to start them up, and I want to see whether they will go up to 13-14 volts in position 1 or position 2. It's in position 2 at the moment, so we'll leave it there and we'll do the test again with the engine running and see whether hopefully both of them are running at sort of 13-14 volts, which means that the alternator is charging both batteries, which will be really good. So let's get on with it. Make sure the vents are covered there. both sides. Plug in the hose, that's all. And now turn on the water and then jump in the boat and start her up. Right, just got to check that it's peeing out water. Water is starting to come out of the pee hole. That flow should start to get better. There it goes. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now let's retest these. Okay, we are reading 1310. Don't know if you can see that. 1311. So that battery is being charged in position 2. That is also being charged, 13.21. So in position 2, both of them are being charged. I imagine it's going to be the same for position 1, but we're going to quickly try that now. All right, turn the engine off, because I believe that you can damage it if you switch it while the engine's running. It could damage the engine alternator. So that is switched to position 1 now. We're going to start it up again. And then we test this again. 14.51. So there's even more charge in position 1. That is on there. And we're reading... we're only reading 12.78. Well, that is the job complete. As you can see from the results here, it's not quite what I thought it was set up like. We've got the off position, shows that the batteries with their default sort of charges, and now that is the same as position 1 in the off position. But when we go to the position 1 with the engine on, you can see that the battery 1 is being charged and the other one isn't. So that tells me that the cranking battery is isolated in the current setup. So that's great to sort of start the engine. What the results also show is that in position 2, you can see that the actual battery charges level out, which says that they're both in parallel at that point. And it also proves it when you turn the engine on in position 2, because they both get a charge. So they're both being charged in position 2. Position 1 is only the cranking battery that's getting charged. Is that how I want it really? Because the trouble is, if I'm at anchor somewhere and I switch to position 2 to use the leisure battery, I'll be using both batteries' power, so there is a chance that I could run both batteries flat, which is not ideal really. What I'm thinking is, do I need to swap those batteries round and actually have the leisure battery in position 1? So the scenario would be position 1 has the leisure battery in, that is isolated and I can use that. The main cranking power would be in position 2 where they're both shared. So then I can actually isolate the leisure battery in position 1 when we're at anchor, and then position 2 is to start the engine. Now the problem with that is that cranking battery and a leisure battery are built completely different. One is built for the high crank, 600 amp surge of power, whereas the leisure batteries are designed for a slow trickle of power. And if you keep doing big surges, then it can ruin the plates inside the battery. Now, is that something that I just have to risk, put up with for now? And is that the best option, to actually switch them over? Or do I just risk it and keep the cranking battery in position 1 and just risk it by having a bit of extra power? Probably got 3, 4, 5 hours worth of power if I wanted to use it for that long, like keeping lights on and things like that, before both batteries were flat. So what do you think? If you can let us know in the comments, if you're good at electrics. I'm certainly not good at electrics, but if you know what I should do, what would you do? Would you put the leisure battery on position 1 or keep it on position 2? I'm really sort of like questioning which is the best option for now. I think really the ideal solution would be to get one of the a new isolator switch and have some more wiring put in so that I've got position 1, 2 and both and off. Because at the moment with the 1, 2 and off, it's just not working how I'd like it. Really, ideally, I want to be able to isolate the cranking battery and isolate the leisure battery separately and then have them combined if I need to. So that would be how I would do it. But let me know what you think. So that concludes this video. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. It really does help and helps the channel get exposed to other people who like boating. So that's really good. And if you like camping, check out our other channel. There'll be some links at the end of the video. Until the next one, bye bye.